All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the, my goodness, it's May already, edition of the Rotary E-Club of Southeast USA and Caribbean. We've got a really good speaker this evening, Mr. R. Beck, and I'm actually just going to jump right in and hand the program to PDG Will, and he's going to give a little bit more introduction to our speaker. Take it away.
Okay, Madam President. Well, I'm really thrilled to have R. Beck with us this evening. He has been instrumental in many of the facets of the creation of the Renewable Energy Task Force, SRAG, that supports the Rotary's fairly new 7th area focus, supporting the environment. So actually, the Renewable Energy Task Force was started with a conversation with R and past president. And we are now underway making the very first solar handbook for our partner with Rotary, Habitat for Humanity. Habitat's been kind of haphazard on putting solar in the homes that they build. And so for the first time, they're going to have a very professional handbook, a lot of which was done by R, who is in the solar business himself. He is the past president of the Rotary Club of Carbondale, Illinois, and past district youth director. And he's also on the District 6510 disaster response team. And he's a past member of the Rotary Club of Grand Cayman Sunrise. He's got more qualifications and certifications than Carter has pills. He also hosts a monthly SRAG solar subcommittee, and he oversees this handbook project for Habitat. And he also has a weekly radio talk show, Your Community Spirit, and he has been installing solar since 1999. And he is a founder and on the board of the Illinois Renewable Energy Association. And for fun on the side, he likes to cook, dance, and volunteer with Rotary, which he does a whole lot. And he's personally lived off grid for 18 years, which I hope he'll say something about that, because that's amazing. Okay, without delay, my good friend R. Beck.
Yeah, I want to give a little caveat. I don't completely live off grid, but today I was 89% energy independent, and there is no sun out. So
Very
where
good.
I happen to be involved in Rotary just at a pivotal moment. I was actually in Atlanta at the International Convention, and people ask, what do you do? Well, I'm extremely passionate about renewable energy. I grew up off grid. I grew up lower income. I grew up around a lot of people in Southern Tennessee who actually couldn't afford electricity. So when I got exposed to solar, well, the first time I actually walked past the solar panel that was wired to a little fan. And when I walked past, the fan stopped and it got my attention, and I turned and looked at it, and I realized my shadow was blocking the solar panel. This is the first time I'd been exposed to a solar panel. I was like 13. I realized my shadow was blocking the light. It took me a little while, and I learned the power of the sun. I worked a lot, and I got my first solar panel and moved into my parents' driveway. I bought one of those campers that go on the back of a truck, and I was independent. I mean, I only went into the house 3 times a day for a meal, and I was 15, so once a week for a shower. But I got involved in Rotary because my dad was extremely passionate about helping the world. And I actually started my solar business so I could help people. There was no nonprofit out there in my area that could help people who needed help. And I had joined Rotary for the volunteerism, but was extremely frustrated by not being able to use my, at that time, 15 plus years of my business, my passion, what I had been working on and learning. And so I'm at my first international convention, and anytime someone asked me, I was just like, well, I install solar and train people to install solar, and I want to help people all over the world. I want to clone myself. And someone introduced me just to the right person. He also, when he was a teenager, started doing solar, but he was doing it as a nonprofit in Africa. He also had the same frustration within Rotary of actually renewable energy not being allowed. Did you know that? It wasn't that it wasn't allowed. You could get a grant, but you couldn't use any Rotary money to fund renewable energy projects. And so the two of us got together, was like, we'll get a task force and then like 3 months after we got all pissed off, Rotary decided to go make the 7th area focus. And then all of a sudden we have to pivot from trying to convince Rotary to care for the environment and do renewable energy to let's do stuff. And so we have the Renewable Energy Task Force. We meet monthly. We just finished, in partnership with Habitat for Humanity International, a handbook. I'll cut and paste it into the chat again. It's really simple to remember the website. It's literally rotaryhabitat.com. There's a handbook in there to step-by-step how to put solar on a habitat house. This is my passion, helping the people who need it the most. Historically, people couldn't afford solar. Solar was expensive. You had to be in the richer echelon to be able to get solar. But partnering with Habitat, they get a home. And did you know how many people actually default on that home because they can't afford the bills? My local Habitat actually has a training program where they actually put the homeowners through, how to budget, because historically a lot of them had lived in either usually in subsidized housing where the utility bills were included. And so they weren't used to having a habit of being energy efficient, or they weren't used to having a separate bill. And so going through I love the Habitat program that I do in my area because I actually do it as a training also. I do it through the college, but that's a lot more work. So most of the programs don't have the training component. It quite literally is find a local solar installer to partner with Habitat, and guess what? You get to buy a solar panel for a Habitat owner that's going to then, for the next 25 years minimum, power them. I'm just excited about that right now because quite literally that website went live and the handbook it will always be in draft form because we'll never finish it. We're going to constantly keep updating it, but 2 weeks ago. So pulling back, let's talk about the 7th area of focus. You are very much in the forefront of the 7th area of focus because it is a brand new thing. Quite literally, in June of 2020, the Rotary Foundation trustees and the Rotary International Board of Directors voted to approve this area. January 2021, they finalized the policy, and then July 2021 could start funding projects. So very much a new area of focus. Of course, not many projects are getting funded with it because a lot of the money in the world was going to COVID eradication, right? Here's the website that just went live, the Habitat Solar, and like the pictures on here, you can download the handbook. All the pictures on here are actual projects that have been successful. The Renewable Energy Task Force, unfortunately, or fortunately, I don't know, has been US centric. We do have people who log in from other parts of the world. For example, India, tremendously doing a lot of things for renewable energy. They have a very strong part of our task force, and they really focus on doing a lot of good stuff in India. We've got 3 Rotaractors, and they rarely come to meetings because guess what? They're doing a lot of things. They hosted a 7th area focus conference that people came to from all over the world because of course it was virtual. I really commend you guys for doing virtual because I have been teaching on Zoom for about 3 years, and it makes it so that I got to go to my old club in the Cayman Islands and hang out. I've got to speak at, I don't know, a couple dozen clubs around the world, and it really does a good job of keeping us connected. My passion is to try to help the people who need it the most. And energy is the world's #1 industry. Energy keeps everything going. It helps if we throw in some internet. I designed a project in Haiti where it was an internet cafe on one side and a clinic on the other side. And basically the internet cafe raised money to pay for the clinic. It was just like completely off the grid, everything. Satellite internet, solar powered. I'm sure they had to ship in the coffee for the people at the internet cafe, but the idea was, just have a stream of income, and a lot of the local people would come in with their phones or their tablets and stuff and get them charged up. So that can be a project that can be duplicated all over the place. I designed one where it was a shipping container, which was a drop-in classroom in Africa. Literally, they bring the shipping container, set it up, take the solar panels, put it up on the roof, unfold the satellite dish. It's got a bunch of tablets. And nowadays, you know how much free literature is available from the Library of Congress, from tech stuff, from YouTube. If you have access to the internet, you can learn. I remember when I started learning about solar, I had to write different businesses to have them send me their catalog and, order books. So the ability to learn and stay connected requires electricity and nowadays a smartphone. So it's a pretty well. most of the world is skipping what we have in the Western culture, which is power lines and telephone lines. They're going for decentralized energy, and yet they are more connected to the world than my neighbors in southern Tennessee, where I grew up, probably are still not as connected as some of the people I know in Africa by choice, or not undesired connection to the world. So I'm almost rambling now. I absolutely love renewable energy, and I am enthralled by what our task force has accomplished in a very short time. And I was even more enthralled when my club in the Cayman Islands, I went and spoke to them, and they actually just set it up that what they do is they have a fund that everybody pays a little extra monthly, and that money goes into each of the 7th area focus, and then they decide a project for each 7th area focus, which I was just like, that's that's a lot of work, but that's how they do it. So everybody does it different. Does anybody have any questions?
Unmute yourself. There you go.
Yeah, Alicia keeps wishing she had one of those mute buttons for me all the time, and not just on meetings. Anyway, what do you see coming down the pike in solar energy storage? I mean, I've got 3 very expensive Tesla Powerwalls. They work great. But battery technology has got to, or some kind of storage technology has got to improve.
Okay, well, the majority of solar systems in the US don't have batteries,
Right.
because it basically feeds into the grid, and when you produce more than you use, you sell it to the electric company. However, in my area, we have 14 different utilities, and only one of them has a 1-to-1 payback. The rest of the utilities, they all pay different amounts. And then a battery becomes economically feasible if the utility pays you a different amount at a different time of the day, which is becoming more and more common. For example, in California, they have, 3 or 4 hours in the day where they charge 2 or 3 times the price for electricity, because there's a shortage of energy. They're trying to get people to use less energy. So what you can do is you can charge your solar batteries and then program it to sell the electricity. So basically, the majority of our customers who put in batteries program it that it charges it during the day, and then when they come home at night, they're running off the batteries at night. So they're getting the full retail value for their solar. They're not wasting any of that, because most of the utilities around here pay like 3 cents a kilowatt and charge 12. So if you sell it, you're getting paid 3 cents. But if you save it in the batteries and use it later, the future, electric cars. You get an electric car, you can use the power of your solar to drive, but you can also program the car, hey, I don't intend to drive today. And the car then can sell the excess electricity that's in the car. Almost everywhere in the United States, electricity is next to free at night, because they can't shut the power plants off. When that generator is running, they can't turn it off. And so they need people to use electricity at night, and they're willing to, they charge less at night. So there's actually factories where they have giant batteries that they charge at night at the, half a cent or 1 cent or 2 cents a kilowatt, and then run the factory or run the place during the day when electricity jumps up to 12, 14, or in California, I've seen like 30 cents. Or in the Cayman Islands, it was what, 38 cents a kilowatt? So the future is basically they have this buzzword called smart grid, where you have everything connected. I mean, I can right now look at my house and look at how much my solar system's producing, how much my energy my house is using, how much is going into the battery or out of the battery. And if I wanted to, I could program every circuit in the house that I would know, when the furnace came on, when the refrigerator come on. They're doing that in Europe, where you basically program it to not use energy when the cost is high and use it when the cost is low. What was that old saying? Make hay while the sun shines. Well, you can change that. You can say, wash your clothes when the sun shines, cook food when the sun shines. Just, don't waste energy, use it when it's produced. Long answer to a very simple question.
What is the cost of the hardware, like the panel or panels, the battery? For example, if solar is used in a habitat house, what is the cost of the equipment?
So the habitat house, it's really hard because it's a new build. You have no idea what their energy usage, because energy usage is based on habits. They actually did a study of 56 apartments, and they eliminated where it was only 2 person in an apartment, and they actually figured out. So here's all apartments, they're pre-furnished, and yet the energy usage went from like 600 all the way up to 2,400 kilowatts. Exactly the same apartments, because it's based on habit. However, with the habitat homes, we're basically, because it's a donation, it's based on how much people want to donate, right? If you want to buy one solar panel and you want to buy one solar panel and you buy one solar panel, well, now there's 3 solar panels on the roof. A typical system is 20 to 30. But again, it's based on energy usage. I have 16 on my house. My mom has 4. We just installed one for a client that has 84. He didn't put it on his house. He had put a ground mount out in the backyard, but it has to do with your energy usage, your habits. And actually, it's very funny. It has very little to do with size of the house. For example, here's a quick little tip. The Department of Energy says for every 1 degree you turn your thermostat down for 8 hours a day, you'll save 3% on your electric bill. 1 degree turn back, 8 hours a day, 3%. Now, I don't know. I like my air conditioning, so I sit and figure out, do I want to spend 3% more to raise it 1 degree or lower it 1 degree?
Yeah. Or I could add one thing to Ray's question. When I put my system in, I have 41 panels, and they were basically installed with all the hookups. It came out to about $1,000 a panel for about a $41,000 set
What
of
year
panels.
was that?
That was 3 years ago.
Okay.
3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
And
that's with batteries.
No, that at that
Okay.
time it was without batteries.
Yeah.
Batteries are added later. But then you take 30%. I was lucky enough to be in the 30% federal, federal reimbursement.
Yeah.
So the feds paid 30%. So that brought it down to 41 panels for about 29,000, right? So, and then the power walls were about $7,000 a
And
piece.
see, you're giving it this big cost. You're saying, you know, $30,000, $40,000. Nobody buys anything that makes them money and says, how much is the total cost?
Right.
They ask, how much does it save me every month? And the simple thing is your electric bill never saves you. So anytime someone asks me, I'm not the sales guy, I'm the tech, but basically you can pay your electric bill forever, basically rent your electricity, or you can own it. A loan has a payback, electric bill doesn't. So really you shouldn't be asking how much the total cost is, but how long does it take to pay for itself?
Yeah.
And that's
And
based
Ray,
on your energy usage.
yeah, Ray, on my system, I took out a loan for it, and paying the loan was cheap for those solar panels, was cheaper than my electric bill during that same period. So basically my panels were free.
That's how it should be, that you basically, your loan payment is either the same or less. And then once you pay off the loan, then
Yeah.
your bill disappears. But now that being said, there is a wide swath of the world who don't even have the ability to buy solar for just offsetting their bill. There's a wide swath of the world that solar is replacing kerosene, candles, a generator, the ability to just have a light on at night. That's a completely different jump in technology for people. I joined this website. If you guys like writing letters, there's this website called Slowly. Basically, you get a pen pal, but you do it over the internet. And I've got 2 people in Africa that just sent me letters. And why it's called Slowly is however long it takes to normally mail it to you is how long it takes to go over the internet. So it's still completely digital. But this one guy, he messaged me. He's like, I'm really tired. I just have to go collect a bunch of wood. And he spent 6 hours that day collecting wood for his cooking. And then he had enough to sell to his neighbors. And I said, have you ever heard of a solar oven? No, he never had. He's in Africa. He's got access to all this solar, and he had to spend 6 hours to collect enough wood for him and his neighbor. And so he, what do you call it? I sent him plans on how to build a solar oven. So who knows? But I mean, I don't know. It's just a weird little message. I'm getting a little tingly that maybe I'm helping this guy. So Ray, did I answer your question?
Yes,
Good. It's a frustrating question because I'm a tech. I want people to ask me about all the technology about it. And it's reached this point that people only buy it based on the money, you know? So it's a little frustrating, but it's also cool. That means, you know, people accept the technology and all they care about is, hey, is this going to actually do its job and make money? And do its job. Well, solar panels have a 25-year power production warranty. It's just like, I don't even think I have 25 years of power production in me. You know what I mean?
Hey, this is Dave. I live in Panama, so we can't sell power back. And so we're getting ready to build, and we're looking at solar
Okay.
just to take care of the electricity when the power is out, because we have a lot of power outages because their grid is not.
So you do have access to power, but not stable.
It depends on what you consider stable. We
So,
won't freeze.
for
We
example,
won't freeze to
they
death if
designed
the
a
power's
system
out.
for Costa Rica where they would only, at that time, only have power for 2 hours a day. And so then they would just, you know, charge batteries like mad for those 2 hours, but then, you know, add solar too. So the grid was just basically a secondary backup generator to the solar system.
Yeah, our grid's pretty good. We just have power outages from, because in the US you have multiple entries of power into an area. Here we just have one. So if somebody hits a phone or a light pole, the power's out for a few hours.
Oh, well, that's how my family farm is. Our lines go, I don't know, about 12 miles through the hills and then actually end at our family farm.
Yeah.
So
you're talking about,
I was off grid, but my parents right next door to me had a lot of power outages.
So you're talking about the Habitat, partnering with Habitat. Who's paying for the solar? Are they raising the money for that at Habitat, or is Rotary helping?
No, that's where our partnership comes in. Is the handbook explains the process of installing, but also tries to help, so it's geared towards two people. It's geared towards educating Habitat, but also educating Rotarians to be able to fund it. And I mean, think about it. You could give somebody, $200 or $300 and it just disappears. Or you could spend $200 or $300 and buy a solar panel for someone for 25 years. And so it seems pretty strong. So
Okay, thanks.
Designing a completely off-grid system, basically the hard thing is to figure out how much energy you use in 1 week. And then we backtrack from that to figure out how many batteries, how much solar, all that stuff. I've actually been studying Spanish for the last 2 years so I can start traveling to other countries. Right now, the boom in solar is in Chile.
Wow.
They're just booming it. So.
Malona, you had a question?
Yes, I do. So good evening. So when we are talking about Africa, assuming, we do the installation in Africa, do you guys train the people there for the maintenance of the equipment, or if they have any problem, how?
So our task force, the Renewable Energy Task Force, is a lot of people who are very knowledgeable, but just like any Rotarian program, it has to come from the local.
Okay.
So we have people who can technically help people with a project.
Okay.
So if you know of someone, or you want to partner with somebody in anywhere with renewable energy. Now, renewable energy, we do tend to have people in our group that tend to be more high tech. I consider solar electricity high tech, but we also have solar ovens. We also have appropriate technology, which is more low tech stuff like hand powered water pumps. I mean, but basically the process is someone needs help. I mean, recently in the Rotarian magazine, did you hear about the big water project in like the southeast of the US where, there's people in rural America who don't have access to clean water, and so it was a global grant coming into the US. We always usually think of it the other way. And so basically our task force can vet project, tell you how feasible it is, and give technical expertise. And there is at least 2 people in our group that can teach and train, because most nonprofits have found out projects fail if you don't have someone locally trained.
That's right. Yep.
Probably the funnest solar company I saw, there's one, it's in Tanzania, and they have pay-as-you-go solar. Where basically you have your cell phone and you can put money, just like you can put money on your cell phone for a minute, you can put money in your solar system to have the lights stay on. And so that's electronic. And then they have somebody who, goes around and repair systems that aren't working because, well, guess what? It's a money stream.
Mhm.
So,
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. I live in a condo, and a lot of the condo bylaws prohibit the owners putting anything on the outside of the building.
mhm.
But I'm told that there are state laws that require condos to allow solar panels to be put on the building. If
I know
somebody
in
wants to do
Illinois,
it.
they can't ban, the HOAs cannot ban solar from being put on.
Yeah.
Although they have covenants that basically say you can't put something on the roof because they didn't want people to put the big satellite
Right.
dishes up, right?
Right.
I don't know if you have community solar. We can look it up. But community solar is you basically own solar panels in a big field, and that gets fed directly into the grid. But the energy produced in that gets applied to your electric bill. Now, the nice thing about community solar is I could buy my mom a solar panel for Christmas, and the energy from that gets applied to her bill for as long as she owns that share. So look up
You know what?
community solar
Do
and
you
see
know
if
about
that's
Florida?
acceptable.
Do you know about Florida and their
I
laws
don't.
by any chance?
But I'll look up, I'll find the website. There's a website, the database of state incentives for renewable energy. But
Okay.
the problem is every utility, every city that has a municipal utility, every co-op has different rules and regulations for solar. Historically, I installed in 8 states across the Midwest. And even now that we only install within like 100 miles, we still have 14 different utilities and 100 different cities with different rules and regulations. And so there is issues with getting it put in. I mean, in my own town, I just had to get the code changed to allow for solar ground mounts. Because they didn't have the code, they basically prohibited it. Even though they didn't prohibit it, they just didn't have the code yet. So, that's the nice thing about community solar is they can do, like in Indiana right now, they're building a 1,600-acre community solar farm. Now, technically, if your utility participates in big community solar projects like that, you could buy the electricity from the Indiana solar farm and it gets applied to your electric bill. But it's up to whether the utility participates. Fun stuff.
I know my father's on it. It's same screen name as mine there. We'll have to change it when I get up to Ohio. But Dad, you all have at least one 80-acre solar farm near you, and there's another one going in. We gotta get you unmuted. Hold on.
How's
There you
that?
go.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a 500-acre one being planned. And it's passed, I don't know how many of the tests so far, but it's moving along. And it's just covered a huge amount of acreage and built it right around people's homes. So they're gonna live in a solar field is what it's gonna amount to. But it's huge. I mean, in Ohio, I mean, we have a lot of dark days, so it's going to be interesting to see how it works. Solar's not huge. We build solar here, but we don't use as much solar. We should probably, but we spend 3 months pretty dark in the winter here.
Well, luckily the electricity is actually made from light. So as long as the light's coming out, you're making electricity. So, and they were really worried about solar systems, but recently we had this eclipse that went across the whole US and they got to test all these big solar farms. what would happen if they go off and then come back on, and how does that affect the grid? And it stayed stable. So, yeah. I
And
mean,
where are
there's
you
more
located?
solar installed in Germany per capita than anywhere in the world. And Germany has less sun than anywhere in the US.
Oh, wow.
It's all about policies. Basically, the government, I'm trying to remember what year that was. I want to say that was 2007. I ordered solar panels in January and I didn't get them till September because 90% of the world demand went to Germany that year. The government created a government-backed loan program that just everybody was just like, hey, instead of paying my electric bill, I can pay a loan. That works. And so, yep, it was, basically policy. So, part of the reason why I really like the Habitat is not only does it help people who really need it, it also educates a lot of people about solar in the process.
Where exactly are you located right now?
I live in Carbondale, Illinois, which is
Okay.
between St. Louis and Paducah, Kentucky,
Gotcha.
right in the middle. I'm in the middle of 256,000 acres of the Shawnee National Forest. I've lived in 34 states and 4 countries, and I chose to move here. Honestly, because I don't know, it's like 4 hours, 5 hours drive to probably 2/3 of the US.
Mhm.
I can just,
Okay, cool. Cool.
and we don't get snow here. I mean, if we do, it's like 3 days.
Yeah.
Illinois.
Any other
Thank
questions?
you guys very much for this opportunity to talk
Well,
to you.
great
And
having you.
hopefully you get maybe not as crazy about solar as I am, but slightly passionate about it. I used to be much more crazy about it, but I always said when Howard Stern gets solar, the whole world will be good. And guess what? That was a bad joke, but yeah, solar is very much mainstream now. It's just, I mean, think of the stereotypical person you think will not get solar, and I probably installed that on a person in the last year. Republican, NRA, Trump supporter, just go down the list of anybody you think would not get solar. Oh, my local Republican congressman got solar. He hasn't told anybody about it, but he's got it. It's just like, so, good deal.
All right.
Well, Laura, thank you so much for joining us, and it's been a pleasure working with you. I don't think I've contributed a whole lot on the committee, but
I don't know.
any
I
little-
think I might be going to Panama. Someone like invited me to come help.
Yeah, you have to go see Disaster Dave down there. Yeah.
Just like,
Yeah. Anyway, thank you so much, and I hope the rest of you that heard all of this will kind of spread some of that word. There's some good things out there. And not only do you save money, but you also have energy security, which today may be a real big
it's
deal.
surprising how few marketing in the US. I mean, we really talk about energy security and energy independence. And we don't talk about it very much as far as in the renewable energy field, but it is very, very true.
And you've contributed to magazines like was it Mother Jones?
Mother Earth News.
Mother Earth
Had a
News.
big
Yeah, I mean,
write-up of Mother Earth News.
I mean, my specialty is living off grid and energy education. And there's very few people. I mean, I quite literally teach a course at a local college where I'm training my competition. It's, I mean, I'm so passionate about it that, I'm quite literally teaching anybody in my area to go start a solar company and see if you can keep up with me. So I will go anywhere and help anybody, because I grew up without electricity, and having the ability to turn on and not have to constantly strive to buy kerosene, collect wood, or do a lot of that thing. I felt it growing up, and I understand people's ability. And, you know, why do we spend an average of 30% of our income on electricity? Let's eliminate that.
Sounds good. All right.
All right. Stay
Thank you.
energized, everybody. Thank you for the opportunity. Oh no, here's an even better one.
Yep.
Invite me next month so I can see you Zoom.
You're more than welcome. We'll send a note out. Next month, Mr. Will's going to be our speaker. So,
Yeah, you want to mention what I'm going to talk about?
well, you can. It'll be
Might scare
Extraterrestrial.
people away, but will.
Possibly extraterrestrial intelligence, UFOs, USOs, and ETI.
I'm scared.
I worked 30 years in that area. A lot of people don't know that. So, okay.
All right. And when he doesn't talk about that, he talks about disaster preparedness. So we've got get Will and Disaster Dave together. They can do a show.
Yeah, I'm on my district's disaster team, and we have a trailer parked at my business with solar system on the roof. And like all the tools in it, and a laptop, and like radios. And we've basically trained our team to not be the first responders, but to come in and run the voluntary recovery center. When volunteers show up, we take down their information and figure out where to send them to. So Rotarians are good at organizing. And so, let's organize the volunteers. So that's what we have partnered with all the emergency management in our district. And when there's a disaster, we come in and help them with, and unfortunately we've had a few. We've had a tornado, and we've had, the inland hurricane, that was 2009, but just ability to help people and focus the volunteers to help more people is phenomenal.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks again. Good seeing you. Well,
Thank
you're welcome
you.
to stand. We're gonna finish up our meeting. Any other questions before? Okay, great. Great. We're going to have a very, very quick BOD meeting afterwards. So quick that I didn't even do an agenda. We're just gonna mention a couple of things. Anybody wants to stay on. We're gonna finish this meeting, do the 4-way test. I'll stop the recording, take a couple minutes break, and then we'll come back for the BOD meeting. So
Alicia, yeah, just real quick. Sorry to interrupt you. Just real quick, everybody, don't forget to do your attendance during the week. Just a
Good.
reminder.
Thank you for a reminder. Yeah, and you've done a great job, Brad, on the attendance, and the person coming after you won't even have to worry about it.
I know that. Yes. Well, I did everything for him, so now it's all taken care of.
Yeah, there you go.
So there you go, Will.
Thank you, Brad.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for what you've done for the club. So of all the things Rotarians think, say, and do, is it the truth?
Truth. Is it fair to all
Fair to all
concerned?
Concern.
Will it
Will it
build
build good friendships? Is
Will
it
be
beneficial
beneficial
to all
to all
concerned? All right. I'm going to go ahead, stop the recording.